So we'll start in a seated position. Make sure you have a block and a strap somewhere within reach. And then let's just kind of get tuned in and see how our bodies are doing and the rest of our systems. So once you find your straight aligned spine, just take a deep breath in through your nose. Big exhale through your mouth. Close your eyes and just start feeling into your body. And as you're feeling each and every part of you, begin a nice, deep, slow Ujjayi breath. And as you continue breathing in that way, notice any thought patterns, notice your emotions, notice your energy. Bring palms together in front of your heart. Just take a moment and be very clear about your intention for your practice this morning. When you're clear, take that extra deep breath in. Big exhale through the mouth. We are going to begin standing at the front of the mat in Tadasana. Let's just get rooted for a moment. Spread your toes, plant your heels, shift your weight back over the heels a little bit. Let your shoulders align over your hips, ears over shoulders. Palms together in front of the heart. Big inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Bend the knees a little bit. Shake your head a moment if you need to. And then it's up to you if you try and straighten the legs or not for this first forward bend, but then halfway up, look up and lengthen, and then back down. Step back with your left foot. Hold your lunge for a moment. As you allow the hips to sink, I want you to really play with straightening your left leg, your back leg. And once you get that left leg as straight as you can for now, I want you to try and tighten your left buttock, tighten your left glute, and maybe even do a slight backward tilt of the pelvis, just to say good morning to the front of your left hip. Let's go ahead and drop the left knee down. We're going to extend the right leg. Flex the ankle and toes, getting into the hamstring for a moment. And then I want you to bend your right knee. Bring the arms up and overhead. Let's tilt the pelvis back again. Lift the rib cage up and let the hips move forward. Just kind of getting a little deeper into the front of that left hip. Hands to the mat, step back to plank position. Hold your plank for a moment. Just let your core engage. We always want the core to be nice and awake and turned on for practice. And then go ahead and lower down however you like. Let's go ahead and come into Sphinx to begin with. So forearms are out in front, big toes are touching, heels are separated, and we're pulling forward. And then downward facing dog. So as you're kind of getting your body into your down dog, doing any little movements you need to, just double check that your palms are flat and that your hips are reaching up and back, heels are pressing down. Take a big step forward with your left foot. Allow your hips to sink a little bit in your lunge. And then same thing we did on the other side. I'd like you to really try to straighten your right leg. Try to tighten your right buttock, your right glute. Allow the hips to drop a little bit, maybe even do a slight posterior tilt of the pelvis. Saying hello to the front of the right hip. And then we'll give it a break. Drop the right knee down, extend the left leg. So getting into that left hamstring. And then we bend the left knee, bring the arms up and overhead. Pelvis tilts back again, hips move forward. Trying to get a little bit deeper into the front of the right hip. Bring the hands down, step forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale and look up halfway. Exhale, back down. This time stepping back with the right foot. So it's your second time in the lunge. Do the same thing. See if it feels any different. Really straighten your right leg. Tighten your right glute. Let the hips drop down. Drop your right knee down. Come up with your hands on top of your left thigh. Scoot your left foot forward, your left foot, your front foot. Scoot it forward quite a bit. Keep your chest lifted. Tilt your pelvis back. Hips move forward, getting a little deeper into the front of that right hip. And let's take the arms up and overhead now. And I want you to really focus on tightening right at the base of your right glute. Keep your chest lifted. Get a little deeper into the front of the right hip. You're going to take your right hand down to the ground. Take your left hand up and then back. See if maybe you can bend your right knee and grab that foot. Release, step back to plank. Take your vinyasa however you like. After you've lengthened in your downward facing dog, step forward with your right foot. Back in a lunge on this side. So we straighten that left leg. We tighten the muscles at the base of the left glute. We allow the hips to drop down towards the floor. Drop your left knee. Come up with your hands on top of your right thigh. Now we're going to scoot the right foot forward quite a ways. Tilt your pelvis back a little bit. Let the hips start to move forward. Arms are going to come up and overhead. So deepening the stretch at the front of the left hip. Left hand's going to come down to the floor. Right hand to the ceiling. And that right hand is going to reach back. And maybe you can catch your left foot. Release the left foot down. Step forward to a standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Now, while you're folded forward, just make sure that you can grab your block. We're going to be using it. From your forward bend, inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, back down. Step back with your right foot. Take your block, put it at the flattest level underneath your right knee. Ideally, your right knee is kind of centered on it, and your block should be running lengthwise, parallel to the long sides of your mat. Go ahead while your hands are still down and scoot your left foot forward a bit. Come on up. Pelvis tilts, hips move forward. If you can, you bend the right knee a little deeper. This time you're gonna reach back with your right hand for your right foot or ankle and let those hips move forward. If you feel balanced enough, you can take your left arm up in the air. You wanna try and keep the muscle at the base of your right glute tight. Release out, put your right foot back down. Bring your hips back a little bit. You may want to scoot your left foot back a little. I want you to tilt your pelvis, push the hips forward again. See if you can start to arch back slightly. Maybe even get your right hand to your right calf or your right heel. The idea is to keep pushing the hips forward. So sometimes we do this as a chest stretch. Right now we're trying to work front of the right hip. Take one more breath. And then come on up. Step it back to plank position. You can just kind of slide your block over, excuse me, and then go through your vinyasa. From your downward facing dog, step forward with your right foot. Grab your block, you're gonna put it underneath your left knee. Left knee should be in the center of the block. While your hands are still down, go ahead and scoot that right foot forward. Come on up, hands on top of the right thigh. Pelvis tilts back and the hips move forward. If you feel like you can, your left hand now is gonna reach back and get that left foot or ankle. And if you feel balanced enough, you'll take your right arm up. Hips are moving forward. Left glute is tight so that front of left hip can open. And then go ahead and put that left foot back down. Toes turn under for most of us. If you need to, right foot can scooch back a little bit. Keep your pelvis tilted back, hips are moving forward. Maybe left hand can come to left calf or left heel. Remember, this is all about the front of the hips, so keep your pelvis tilted. Left hip is moving forward. That's what we're trying to get sensation in here. You're welcome to take right arm back. And remember, it's all about your left hip right now. And then come on out of that. Hands to the mat. Go ahead and step back to plank. Move your block off to the side. Lower yourself down. Upward facing dog or cobra. And then downward facing dog. From here, you're going to step your right foot forward. Spin that left heel flat. Widen your stance if you need to. Come on up into warrior one. So when the hips are rotated forward, as they should be, and the left heel is flat and the left leg is straight, if we tilt the pelvis back slightly and allow the hips to move down towards the floor, we get into that front left hip again. So I want you to feel that for a moment. And then from here, just like that, we're gonna lift off into our first dancer. Again, it's all about the hip, so I don't care whether you go outside of the foot or inside of the foot grip. The idea is to get left foot and left hand. Tilt your pelvis back, lift the rib cage up. Push the left foot behind you, tightening muscles at the base of your left buttock, and then you can lean into it as much as you want. Remember, it's all about the hips today. Come on back up.
Bring your feet together and your palms together at the front of the mat. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward.
Inhale, look up halfway, and exhale, back down. This time you're gonna step back with your right foot. Spin the heel flat. Adjust your stance. Come on up. Get that pelvis tilted, right leg straight. Heel is flat, hips are sinking. So you feel this in the front of your right hip. Warrior one. And then just like that, we'll lift off for dancer. So your right hand is gonna grab your right foot or ankle, inside or outside. Pelvis tilts, rib cage lifts, and you're leaning into it. Remember, you're going for sensation in the front of the right hip here. Come on back up, feet together, palms together. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold all the way forward, standing forward bend. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, back down. You can either walk or jump back to plank. Take a full vinyasa. Press those hips back. Press the heels down. So from here, you're going to step forward with your right foot. Go ahead and drop down to your left knee. Grab your strap. So we're going to be working a little deeper in these front lunges. If grabbing a foot has been a challenge for you, now you can use your strap. If you've been grabbing your foot, this will help you go deeper. The easiest way, at least to me, to get that left foot looped is while you're here before you sink your hips forward or anything. I like to just lean on my left hand to get my left foot looped. And then come on back up. Now, once you got the strap and your left foot is looped, I want you to scoot your right foot quite a bit farther forward. Once you get the foot forward, tighten your left buttock, hips move forward, and you're gonna bring your strap over your head. Now here's the deal. You continue to allow gravity to carry you forward, but you lift your rib cage, and then you pull a little bit on your strap, and hello, you should feel quite a lot of sensation. Front of your left hip, left thigh. Take 2 more breaths here. Release your strap. And here's what I'd like you to do. Bring your right foot back just a little bit. Untuck your left toes. Come back up, tilt your pelvis. Hips are moving forward, chest is lifting. If you can, take your left knee up off the ground, but allow your hips to drop. You're letting gravity really help you out here. Left knee back down, hands back down. Step it back to plank. Take your vinyasa. So from your downward facing dog, you're going to take your left foot forward. Go ahead and drop onto your right knee. We're going to do the same thing on this side. So go ahead and get your strap. Loop it over that right foot. Once you get your strap looped, you want to take your left foot farther forward. And once you're in that position, pelvis tilts, rib cage lifts, hips are moving forward. And we're taking that strap overhead. So once you get that position and your hips are forward, you start to pull a little bit on that strap. You should feel not only the front of your right hip, but also the front of your right thigh. So it's hip flexor and quadricep.
Go ahead and release your strap. Untuck the toes of the right foot. If you need to, scoot your left foot back a little bit, that's fine. Pelvis tilts, hips move forward, arms are up and overhead. And now if you can, right knee lifts, but the hips drop. Release, right knee and hands come down. We step back to plank and we flow through our vinyasa. From this downward facing dog, you can either walk or jump forward to a standing forward bend. Just hold your forward bend for a moment. It's a nice counter pose. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. So we're gonna do a second dancer pose. You balanced already, coming out of warrior one. Now you're gonna do it with your strap. And we're doing it with the strap so that we can get even more hip stretch. Remember, that's the emphasis today. So I'm gonna have you stand on your right foot first. Go ahead and loop your left foot. Hang on to your strap with your left hand. And if your hand is facing palm up, basically all you do is you lift your left foot and point your left elbow at the ceiling. That way you can reach overhead with your right hand as well. So what we want to do here is tilt the pelvis, lift the rib cage, press the leg back, and then pull with our hands until we feel this on the front of the left hip and thigh. Come on out of that side, and we'll go straight into the other. You're gonna stand on your left foot. When you get your right foot looped, you grab the strap with your right hand and have your palm facing up. Then you can just raise your right elbow towards the ceiling and do an overhand grip on your strap. Tilt your pelvis, lift your rib cage, press the leg back, and then pull on that foot a little bit. And release. You can drop your strap off to the side. Bring your feet back up to the front of the mat. Palms together in front of your heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, back down. We're gonna step back to plank, take a vinyasa. And then from here, drop to your knees. And I want you to grab your block. You're gonna use it at the skinniest level between your knees and thighs. So I like to actually, I'll spin here. I like to bring mine so it's pointing up so I have as much contact between the thighs as possible. It's up to you if your toes are turned under or not. We're not actually gonna reach for our heels. We're gonna be doing a different version of camel, really focusing on the front of the hips. So the first thing I want you to do is squeeze your block, tilt your pelvis back, push the hips forward. Keep your hands on your hips, pardon me. Lift your chest and start to arch back. But I want you to keep squeezing that block and pushing your hips forward. So your body's gonna wanna come back. I want you to force it forward as you're squeezing the block. You should feel front hips opening, maybe even some quad. And then come on up from that. Remove your block. Go ahead and take a short, quick child's pose. Forehead down, buns to heels. Quick counter pose. And then just shift into plank and take your vinyasa. All right, one last time. We're taking the block. We're going to put it underneath the left knee. Step the right foot forward a lot. And then I want you to loop your left foot. So we did this before, but not with the block underneath. You've been building up to this. This should be pretty exciting. Now, when you look down at your legs, your right foot should be quite a bit farther forward than your right knee. This gives us somewhere to go. So the first thing I want you to do is just let your hips sink a little bit. Let that left foot come up. Grab your strap overhead. Once your hips have moved as far forward as you can, that's when you're going to start pulling the foot towards your glute. See if you can get your right lower leg vertical. You're welcome to release your right hand and reach back for that foot if you like, or you can keep using your strap. 3 more breaths. We're really letting this open. And release. Go ahead and step back to plank. Flow through your vinyasa. And here we go. Bring that block underneath your right knee. The left foot's going to come forward. Go ahead and loop your right foot. Do it while it's easy. And then as you come up, remember, you're going to scoot your left foot forward a lot so that your left foot is farther forward than your left knee. You want to go ahead and get your pelvis moving forward as far as it can. Then you pick your right foot up. Then you begin to pull on that right foot. So we're trying to get the lower leg maybe vertical. Remember, you can hang on with your right hand and reach back with your left hand for that right foot, or you can continue to just use your strap. 3 more breaths. Release your strap, step it back to plank, and take one last vinyasa here. After you feel fully lengthened in your downward facing dog, you can either walk or jump forward. Have a seat in staff pose, Dandasana. Find your sit bones. Lengthen and align your spine. Activate your legs. Take a moment, check in. On your next inhale, go ahead and raise your arms up, and as you exhale, lengthen out over both legs. Give yourself a nice little counter pose. So just a seated forward bend. And then come on up from that. We're going to take the left foot and bring it to the inside of the right thigh. Lean out over your right leg. And then just come on up and extend your left leg, right foot to the inside of the left thigh, lean out over your left leg. And then come on up from that and extend your right leg out. Now, I want you to be very mindful of knee issues as well as hip issues, but I'm going to show you that there are ways to use your block with what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a one leg reclined hero's pose. So what that basically means is and we're going to keep the right leg straight to begin with. If your left knee and ankle are happy enough that you can just bring that left foot on the top of the foot back beside your left glute, then you're good. Now, what if your knee or your ankle doesn't like that? Well, you can elevate your hips on a block. That takes part of the pressure off of the knee. You could even go mid-level here if you need to. All right, so now I've got space. I don't have any weight on my left foot and my knee is not nearly as flexed. If you still can't do it, skip the pose. But if you need to, use your block to elevate your hips. So what we're going to do from here, whether your hips are on a block or not, if you look down at your left lower leg, your second toe should align beautifully with the calf muscles. In other words, you don't have your foot rotated out or anything wonky. Now, the idea is see what it feels like to start leaning back on the arms without ever letting your left knee lift. I want you to strongly push your left knee into the mat. Maybe you could get onto your forearms. And you'll start to feel this in your quadricep as well as your hip flexor, by the way. Now, if you can and it's feeling okay, you are welcome to flatten out, but your left knee has to stay on the floor. So if your left knee starts to lift, it's under strain. If you get all the way flat, take your arms overhead, see how that feels. The easiest way to come up from this is the same way you went down, coming up onto the forearms and then the hands, and then extend your left leg and wiggle. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So you can just kind of test it out. Right foot comes back by the right hip. If it's too much on the knee or the ankle, block is underneath the hips. So I'm going to use a block on this side because I've got a slightly tweaky right knee. Remember, it's fine to do something different on each side. Still applies though, my right knee is going to have to stay down. So I'm going to come back onto my hands, press that right knee in, maybe make it down to the forearms, pressing right knee into the mat. Now at this point, I'm getting a great quad stretch. And of course, since my hips are on a block, I'm not going to flatten out. But if your hips are on the floor and you feel like you can flatten out, please do. And if that feels good, even take the arms up and overhead. And we'll come back up the same way we went down. Now, full hero's pose, Virasana. If you can, again, remember, use your block if you need to. Knees are together, your toes are untucked. You can either be sitting on a block or you can be sitting on your heels. Just take a moment, feel how that feels. If you are on the heels and it feels okay, I want you to lift up slightly, take the feet out just a little bit, and then sit down between your heels. Now, I'm on a block, so I've done that, but I'm not sitting between my heels. I'm still up on the block. If you can get all the way down to the floor, do that. Same rules apply to the lower leg. My second toe is aligning with my lower leg bones. I don't have my feet winging out. I'm on the top of my feet, everything aligns. Take 2 more breaths. And then you can lift up. If you are on a block, take it out from underneath you. If you are not on a block, just get your legs back in front of you. Give them a really good wiggle. And then from here, we're gonna make sure our block is within reach, but we're gonna go ahead and lower onto our backs, hug the knees in, and rock side to side. Our inversion today is bridge, and of course, we're gonna do it a little different. We're gonna do it with the block at the skinniest level between the knees. Preferably still having big toes touching heels apart if you can. I want you to squeeze your block for all it's worth as you lift your hips. You keep squeezing the block as you drive through your heels to lift your hips up. Squeeze your block, drive through the heels. You should be starting to feel this, not only in your glutes, but in your quads, the front part of the thighs. Keep going, 3 more breaths. Squeeze your block. On your next exhale, lower down, hug your knees in, and rock side to side. So now we're going to put the block at the flattest level up underneath our sacrum, the lower part of your hips, right? Not under your low back, but your hip girdle, basically. The pelvis should be supported by the block. And you might want it a tiny bit closer to your tailbone than you do for supported bridge. Finally, you get to do some easy stuff. We're going to do gentle front hip openers now. This is like the dessert for all of the front hip opening that you did earlier. And what I'd like you to do is hug your left knee into your chest. Extend your right leg all the way out. Let the heel find the floor and then totally relax. For most of us, that means the right knee will bend slightly. Your foot will probably flop out. All that's good. Right heel is on the ground, right leg totally relaxed. Then you pull a little more with that left knee. You're going to feel your pelvis tilt like a fulcrum. And you should find a gentle, subtle sensation at the front of the right hip. Adjust on the block if you need to, but once you get that sensation, all you have to do is breathe slow and deep and let gravity work its magic. Two more breaths here. So here's what I'd like you to do. Go ahead and bend your right knee so your foot is flat. Left foot's going to go down beside it, so it's almost like being in a supported bridge. Then you're going to hug your right knee in a little bit, and then extend left leg all the way out. Let the heel find the floor, and then totally let that left leg relax. Remember, your knee will probably bend a little bit. That's fine. Totally relax left leg, or you won't feel the stretch. Pull the right knee deeper into your chest until you feel your pelvis tilt. And you have that subtle sensation on the front of your left hip, and then you just breathe slow, deep breaths. Two more breaths here. And then just go ahead and bend your left knee and bring it up into the air with your right. You may need to adjust the block under the hips, but you've totally earned a short vipariti karani, which is legs up the wall, except we're not using a wall, we're using a block here. Your legs should just kind of float up, no effort involved in holding them up. Just hang here for a few breaths. This is actually a beautiful restorative pose. And then on your next exhale, you can just let your feet find the floor. Lift your bum up, get your block out from underneath you. Hug your knees in, give yourself a nice side to side rock. And then from here, we go into a really gentle twist. You're gonna put your block at the skinniest level between your knees, keep both knees bent, drop them both to the right, let your left arm open out to the left. On your next inhale, legs come up. As you exhale, drop both knees over to the left, right arm opens out to the right. 6 slow breaths on this side. On your next inhale, come on up. You can move your block off to the side, hug your knees in, rock side to side. And then just reach down and grab the outside edges of your feet and kind of see what's going on in that lower body after your practice today. Happy baby. You did a lot of hip flexor and quad movement in a happy baby. You kind of get to make sure that glutes and hamstrings are released as well. So whatever moves or exploratory fun you need to do here, go for it. You have about 4 more breaths. When you're ready, you can place your feet flat on the mat, ankles and knees together. Just let your hips roll side to side a little bit. You can do that breath-centered movement if you like, where both legs come up on an inhale and both of them drop to one side on an exhale. Let's do this a few times. Let the hips roll, let everything settle down, kind of signal to your body that all the difficult stuff is over. Next time that your knees come to the center, allow them to drop open, the soles of the feet together. Take a breath here. On your next inhale, tilt your pelvis back, flatten the low back. Hold that for 2 more breaths. On that second exhale, just relax your body. And then I'd like you to extend your legs. You can go ahead and separate your feet wherever you want them. I want you to roll your legs in and out a little bit. So we want to make sure that the hip flexors as well as the glutes are totally relaxed now. So once you feel like everything's good, just let your legs flop, lengthen your spine, relax the shoulders so that they're away from the ears. Your hands are below your heart. Your palms are facing upward. Your neck is long. Your jaw is soft. Your eyes are closed. Your forehead is smooth. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Big exhale through the mouth. Allow your body to settle in. And as each muscle releases any remaining tension, you'll notice that your breath is getting softer. It's getting shallower. It's getting quieter. Bring your awareness to the area that corresponds with Svadhisthana chakra, which is your second energy center. That area is about 2 inches up and 2 inches forward of your tailbone. It almost corresponds to where your bladder is. Just feel into that area right now. So the work that we did today with the hip flexors corresponds to Svadhisthana chakra, which of course deals with sexuality, but there is more to the power of creation than that. So it's about our creative processes, whether that's in a more physical realm like artwork or music or poetry, but also how we create our thoughts and how we create our life. So our thoughts have the power to shape our lives. Your thoughts literally create your emotions. Your thoughts are not real, but your emotions are. And then your emotions create your perception of life. So when we create our thoughts, and yes, you do have control over that. When we create our thoughts, we can create our life. And second energy center, second chakra, corresponds to the powers of creation. So as you keep your awareness in this lower abdominal area, if you're interested in visualizing a color, it would be orange. If you need a sound or syllable to go with this, it would be bum, bum. Just tune into this area. But then I'd like you to really think about what you want to create in your life. What state of being do you want to create for yourself? So as you get clearer on the version of your life that you want to create, I want you to pick one thing and we're going to see ourselves and feel ourselves and talk to ourselves as if it is already true. So just kind of using as an example, say perhaps strong. Maybe you envision yourself as being very strong. And that could be physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever that might be, right? And you can see in your mind's eye what that looks like. You can feel in your body what it feels like. And then instead of saying, I want to be strong or I want to create strength, we begin to verbalize that to ourselves as, I am strong. So whatever it is, that was just an example, whatever it is that you want to create in your life, I am peaceful, I am patient, whatever it is, I want you to see yourself as that, feel it in your body, and verbalize it to yourself as an affirmation, as if it is already true. Notice how that feels. Notice if it feels real, if it feels true. Your thoughts create your reality. And so just translating all of that now into this body that's lying on the mat. Feel into your body. Feel how you do have the power of creation and feel what you have created. And then begin to deepen your breath. Begin to move your fingers and toes a little bit. As you feel ready, spread your fingers and toes. Breathe deeply, exhale, relax them. Stretch through arms and legs, breathe deeply, exhale and relax them. Bend your knees, maybe even hugging them in today, just to really, really shorten up the hip flexors that we spent so much time lengthening. And then as you're ready, roll to your right side. And press yourself up into sitting. So as you come to your seated position, just find a nice straight spine. Let your shoulders relax. Make sure your head is balanced on top of your spine. So today we're going to work with all 4 parts of the breath. We inhale, that's part 1. We hold our breath in our lungs, that's part 2. We exhale, that's part 3. We hold the air out of the lungs, that's part 4. So we're going to do it as a pretty easy ratio. It'll be a 2-1-2-1 ratio. What that means is your inhale and your exhale are equal. The internal and external retentions are equal, but half the length of your inhale or exhale. So let me simplify it. If you breathe in for 6, you hold for 3, you breathe out for 6, you hold out for 3. You can do this at whatever length of breath is comfortable for you, like 10-5, 10-5, whatever works. It's up to you, but I'd love for you to be very precise in controlling your breath within that ratio. So all through the nose if you can. 2-1-2-1, 4-part breathing.
And so just completing the breath that you're on. And as you do complete your last 4-part breath, just allow your breathing to return to its natural rhythm, its natural flow. Keep the spine aligned and the eyes closed, and just observe for a few moments. Just very slowly bring your palms together in front of your heart. Just taking a moment in gratitude for the capacity to actually watch our thoughts and control them and create them. Thoughts are in fact energy, so we want to be particular about creating good thoughts and good energy. It doesn't mean that there won't be bad thoughts or that we won't feel sad or frustrated, but we have the capacity to control our thoughts, to flip our thoughts, and to change our circumstances simply by changing our perception. What an amazing gift. Take one more huge breath in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Palms pressed together in front of the forehead. This reminds us to just be present, to stay in the moment. Palms pressed together in front of the lips reminds us to speak our truth. And palms pressed together in front of the heart honors our heart and reminds us to keep it open, to practice kindness, compassion, and unconditional love, and to include ourselves in that. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.